If you want to share this with anyone, then you are more than welcome to. My name is Greg Heyer. I'm one of the marketing managers here at DDesign, and I am looking forward to being able to give you some help on, getting some understanding of what search engine optimization is and some basic things you should consider when you're getting ready to tackle your next website project. All right. All right, so for today's agenda, we're going to go over just an introduction of search engine optimization. We'll get, let's see, we're going to get into some basics of on-page SEO, some basics of off-page SEO and what those terms mean. We'll go over some technical SEO basics as well. Then we'll have a Q&A at the end, and then we'll talk about our next webinar, which is actually coming up on this Thursday, about WordPress admin fundamentals. All right, so let's talk a little bit about, real quick about DDesign. DDesign is a web design and digital marketing firm based in Raleigh. We are actually on the corner of Falls and News and Strickland Road. We have approximately about 35 employees that work here. We do a number of different projects, everything from custom web design to WordPress websites, to digital marketing, from SEO to social media management to marketing automation. We take on a whole bunch of different types of projects, everything from e-commerce to, like I said, custom web development to small business websites. So if you're looking for any help in that area, we are definitely here to help you. Just reach out to us. All right, so let's go ahead and get into what search engine optimization is. Well, it's actually a pretty critical part of what makes the internet work, right? So we want to make sure that we keep users and search engines familiar with what our website is and kind of understand the structure of our website. In addition, we need to make sure that search engines recognize more than just text. We also want to make sure they recognize images and video that we may have on our website as well, because Google is more than just text search. There's also image search, and there's also YouTube out there. So we want to make sure that we do appear in these search results when somebody does do a search, and we end up coming up as a result in their query. All right, consider this. Many search engines, especially Google, are including localized search results that may be different depending on the device or the user's search history. So if you've ever done a search on your desktop, or if you have and then done the same search while you're somewhere else on your mobile phone, your chances are you're probably going to see different results. This is where SEO really becomes very helpful, especially for local businesses, because they don't need a national presence usually, unless they sell all over the country or all over the world. But most small businesses, for example, they focus on a geographic area. So, for example, like if you run an automotive repair shop, do you need, and you're based in Raleigh, do you need to show up in the search results in San Francisco? Chances are no. It's pretty irrelevant traffic. But if you were to optimize your website to bring in more Raleigh area traffic to your website, this is what SEO can absolutely do. Google usually requires high quality links from contextually related websites, which means basically that, like, links from Great Southern Barbecue Pit probably wouldn't help your HVAC website, as an example. So how do we do SEO? Well, there's a number of different ways that we do SEO, and this webinar is going to kind of give you the idea of some of the basics that we go through. There's also a lot of advanced things, which is what people hire us for, but we're going to touch on the basics. One of the first things that we do is that we'll conduct an SEO audit of your website. We want to look at the structure of it. We want to look at the content on it, and we also want to see how many folks are linking to it. Okay. Next, based on that information, we'll then develop an SEO strategy. So identifying what are the most important things that we need to address, what are some low-hanging fruit items, and put that plan together and present it to you. Then we execute the plan. And SEO is, unfortunately, is not one of these things you could just do once and it continues to work forever. That's just not how the internet works, and that's not how the algorithms work with Google. It's not how other search engines work as well. So we must continue to maintain our websites, keeping things current, and also fixing issues that may potentially come up. And usually, like an SEO firm like us, what we will do is we are the ones who actually will pay attention to all the changes that Google or Bing or Yahoo or other search engines will actually will do that could potentially impact your website, and we'll make those updates to your site for you. So one of the things to kind of think about too is what is search intent. When a user is out there at a search console or on their search engine and they start to type in a search, what kind of a search is somebody doing? And are you going to appear when they do that kind of a search? So there's generally 4 different types of searches or search intents. There are navigational queries, there are informational queries, commercial investigation queries, and transactional queries. And we'll go through these real quick. Navigational queries basically are searches that are performed with the intent of surfing directly to a website. So how many times have you opened up Google and then typed in Facebook into Google to get to Facebook, right? So I've seen my aunts who are, they're in their, they're older and I don't know where they picked up this behavior from, but they would open up Google, go into a search bar in Google, and then type in Facebook, and they click on the link right there from the search results. To me, it's kind of like, well, how come you just didn't use the browser's navigational bar and type in Facebook? You took 2 steps. But this is a common behavior, and it's okay. We just need to make sure that when somebody does type in our website URL, that we do appear at the top of those search results. Otherwise, our competitors could be at the top. So this is a type of a query that actually is a legitimate query that happens frequently inside the search engines. There are also informational type queries. Informational queries happen when someone is looking for a specific bit of information, not a specific bit of information. Apologize for the typo there. But examples of this would be finding out like the local weather, or getting a map or directions, or how long does it actually does that trip actually how long does that trip to Mars really take? There's a number of different type of informational type queries that you can make on the web, and we do a lot of these all the time. So kind of think about, if they're searching for a specific bit of information, how is your website going to appear when somebody does that search? What kind of informational queries are people making that your website should come up in that search query result? There's also transactional type queries. Transactional searches are when a user is expecting to have some sort of interaction on the website that involves some sort of transaction. An example could be, paying that parking ticket that you just got in downtown Raleigh, or it could be creating a Gmail account, setting an appointment, or downloading an ebook. There's some sort of expectation or some sort of transaction that happens from the search, and then when they land on your website. Okay. An example also could be, going back to the set an appointment, you have a form on your website so that way somebody can take and set an appointment or request an appointment or a callback, maybe about that dentist appointment that you need, or that they need, or to get their car fixed or something along those lines. Commercial investigation queries, these searches kind of straddle the line between pure research and commercial intent. They are not directly transactional, but may result in exchange of goods, services, or monies, but they are not purely informational either. So an example of this is that you could be sourcing a distributor for a product, or researching a product with the intent to make a purchase, or finding companies with a specific product on sale. So maybe you're in business and you're looking for somebody to print up screen print T-shirts for you, but you want to go down to their location to go pick them up, or maybe you want to buy them from them and sell them on your own website. Maybe you're doing research about a digital camera, and you want to take in you want to go down to Best Buy or H.H. Gregg or somewhere like that to go purchase it, but you're going to research it online and see what other people are saying it before they actually go into your store to purchase it. Okay, so those are the commercial investigation type queries. All right, so let's get into some of the basics of on-page SEO. By the way, at the end of this webinar, we will also take, we'll have a brief Q&A. And of course, you're welcome to always email in your questions to us at marketing@ddesign.com. Welcome to send us your emails there, any questions you may have. All right, so there's a number of different areas in which we want to focus on for on-page SEO. But basically what this does is that with on-page SEO, we focus on the content within your website itself. We're not looking at like the framework of your website. We're not looking at content that's not on your website, but specifically within the words and the images and the video and the other media that may be inside of your website. So one of the key things we focus on is going to be keywords. Keywords and phrases in your web content makes it possible for people to find your site via search engines. This is absolutely critical. If you don't have words on your website, it's kind of hard to find your website. I mean, there are ways around it, but it's very difficult. But usually putting those keywords, relevant keywords on your site is very, very important. We do a number of different ways to take and use a keyword targeting approach. We could set up a specific page that targets a single searcher's intent. For example, if I'm an HVAC company and I want to target residential HVAC or heat pump repair, something along those lines, I can set up a page that specifically focuses on those keywords, so that way when someone goes to a search engine and types in the search term heat pump repair Raleigh, and hopefully your page will show up on the first page of search results. We also want to make sure that the primary word phrase is at the beginning of the title element of the page. And this helps also because this helps with actually how your page is rendered in the search results. So Google is looking for a keyword term in your page title and also the description of your page, and is also looking at the different headings that are within your page. If the keyword exists in there, then there's a better chance that you will show up at the top of the search results. So, and just to kind of tap real quick, or talk real quick about what title is, every page on your website has a specific title. It tells us exactly what that page is. And it could be encapsulated in a markup called H1 or an H2 tag. And actually, we'll talk a little bit about that in the technical SEO section. I also want to make sure that the keyword phrase appears in the page URL, and this is the address of your page specifically. We also need to make sure that the content is logical, comprehensive, and employing related terms and phrases. So we want to make sure that we're also using keywords throughout the page relevantly and friendly enough for a human to read as well. Okay. We also want to, sometimes we can also take and highlight or bold or italicize or change the sizing of keyword phrases, but making sure that it's also inappropriate. Unfortunately, the days of MySpace web design with flashing GIF images and ugly text is gone, and we don't want that. We don't create those kind of websites anymore. So we need to make sure that the folks are that web pages are set up so that way they are good to look at and they provide good experiences and they help people find what they're looking for. We also want to make sure that the primary keywords are used prominently in the page headline. Okay, and this kind of goes back to the reference of the title element. We want to make sure that we're continuing to use our keywords throughout the page. We also want to make sure that the keyword is found in the body 2 times or more, but there's an appropriate amount of times in which you want that keyword to appear. We also then want to have secondary keywords that appear in headlines, the title or the body of the text as appropriate too. So there could be other keywords that associate with that primary keyword that will help Google kind of index and determine the context of the page. Images on the page should employ descriptive, keyword-rich alt attributes. So if you've ever gone out to a page and you highlighted or moved your mouse on top of an image, and then you see this tiny little info box that pops up, usually with a yellow background, and it has words, that is actually how Google indexes those images in their image search. So when you get a chance, go to images.google.com and check to see if you can actually do a search. Do a search on your business, and see what images actually come up. All right. We also want to make sure that we have descriptive anchor text is used in links that point to the page. And an example of anchor text is when we highlight some text on a page to put a hyperlink onto it. We want to make sure that we're highlighting more than just one word, but we want to make sure that we're highlighting a keyword inside there as well. That way, Google kind of knows, all right, well, this link is supposed to go to a page that talks about this, and when it goes there, it does find a page that talks about that. So, all right, there are some ways in which we can abuse keywords. One way is keyword stuffing. And no, we're not talking about Thanksgiving, but we're actually talking about that this is the practice of loading a web page with keywords or numbers in an attempt to manipulate a site's ranking within Google search results. Okay, so remember in the previous slide I mentioned that it's a good idea to take and have 2 or 3 or 4 times you can mention that keyword on a page, but you do it 50 or 60 times, and you have you just start overusing that page. It can be a big problem, and actually Google will penalize that page for stuffing it with too many keywords. Another example of keyword abuse is unrelated keywords. So let's say that we have a carpet installation website that talks about Taylor Swift in the page description. Carpet installation and Taylor Swift. Those two normally don't go together unless there's like a sponsorship thing going on. But what you probably should not have is in your page description something along the lines of, Taylor Swift likes our carpet installation, for example. It's probably not relevant. Then they're very unrelated as well. That's manipulating the search engine. Also, excessive details. You can actually put too many details on a web page, and try in an effort to try and pull traffic in from search. Actually, and what Google recommends is that instead of getting too detail oriented, create multiple pages and create a structure so that way if you have you have your main idea and you have a lot of content on that page, link to another page or create supplemental pages to go along with that to kind of carry on those ideas. And that actually helps your website a lot more than taking and stuffing all of those excessive details into one particular page. All right, so keyword research. We got to figure out, what keywords do we use on our website? Well, first, we need to start by realizing that keyword research is not about getting visitors to our website. Rather, it's about getting the right kind of visitors to our website. Okay, we don't need everybody in the world coming to our website and making it impossible for us to take and actually determine who's the right customer, because that has happened and that will happen if you don't focus your website on the right customer. Ask yourself if the keyword that you're about to use is relevant to your website's content. Search for this phrase or term in the major search engines and see what comes up. See if your competitors come up. See if your website actually comes up, and see how competitive it is as well. So we can use Google AdWords Keyword Planner to determine the search volume and competition for that keyword. And a pro tip for you, if you're interested, you can run an AdWords campaign for that particular keyword and measure how well it converts. Okay, so you can just put in that one keyword, you set up one ad, and set a small little budget to see how well, if traffic comes to your website, and if they start completing forms or make phone calls based on that keyword, that could be very helpful for you driving the right traffic to your website. All right, internal links. Internal links connect one page of your website to another on your site. This enhances the user experience and may help you with getting more backlinks and as well as ease the navigation on your website. So if you've ever written a blog post for your website, sometimes like if you go to DDesign's blog, if we write a blog post about e-commerce, actually, chances are you're going to find the word e-commerce linked to our e-commerce services pages. That's what's called an internal link. Another example of an internal link would be your menu on your website. So if you have a menu link in the header portion of your website that goes to your About page, that's a great example because that link is actually should be across all of the pages on your website, maybe with the exception of specialized designed landing pages. External links are going to link out from your website to other websites. They help position your website as an authority to both visitors and search engines. These links are essential to the World Wide Web. They help with tracking where traffic is coming from and going to. A reciprocal link is a link that acknowledges an external link with an inbound link. Okay, so if you've written a blog post or if you're linking, created a page that links out to a vendor or someone that you work with, that link out to that website is an external link. And what actually is really, really good is if you get a reciprocating link. So you've linked out to a vendor's website and then they've linked back to you. That's a reciprocating link. And when you think about the web, that's exactly what it is. It's that connection, that bridge that you make from one website to another with the reciprocal links. Inbound links are going to be a link from other websites, and these actually help search engines determine the popularity of your website. But keep in mind that quality, the key is quality over quantity, okay? Because you can actually have too many inbound links that are coming from spammy websites that can actually hurt your website ranking. So making sure that you have quality inbound links, links that are relevant to you and your business are very important. So generally when we're building an inbound link strategy, we have a few tactics that we can use. One would include basically emailing the owner of a website that complements your business and asking them, hey, would you mind linking? We have a blog post about this same topic that might provide your visitors with some additional resources. This is a very manual way of trying to get a link, but SEOs do this. We do this, and we'll actually reach out to folks and ask them to link between blogs and create reciprocating links. Another way we can create inbound links is through press releases. There are some reputable press release websites out there that you can publish a press release, and they actually will distribute your press release, and it'll end up on multiple websites, and so will the links that you put inside of your press release. That can actually create authority, especially if your business is very active and likes to stay visible in the media. There's also article marketing. So if you are writing on guest blogs or guest websites or other websites that offer an opportunity to write, then you can actually take and put information at the bottom of your blog post, then includes a link back to your primary website. That's another inbound link. Social media is a great way for building inbound links. Currently, at least at this point right now, Google's not providing what's called Google Juice or any authority between the links that you get from social media to your website. But as things kind of move on and things begin to evolve more, and as we begin to use more and more social media, there's a very good chance that Google will start considering using social media as a valuable link, which is why we want to build our presence, share our content, and be active in social media as well as with our website. Blog commenting is another great way for building inbound links. If you are going out to someone else's blog, since most folks on are probably local business owners, if you go out to a local news website and leave a comment on a story that is somewhat relevant to your business, you might be able to actually link back to your blog, to your website, and by leaving that comment, because they're going to want your name, your website URL, as well as your comment, and when they publish it, that creates a link back to your website. Another option that we do a lot of work on is going to be directory listings, because we want to make sure that your address is correct across the web and across the different directories. So, for example, we want to make sure that the links that are inside of Google Maps is going to be correct, as well as local directories like it could be anything local from Chamber of Commerce websites to local business associations or anything like that. All right, so here's some of the factors that we want to think about when we're looking at content SEO. We want to make sure that the content is of good quality, it has been researched, and that the words that we're using are relevant and contextual to our business. We also want to look at content freshness, and which we'll get into in just a moment. And we'll talk about vertical search here as well, and then also direct answers, which is kind of an interesting predicament given how Google and other search engines are starting to incorporate more AI or artificial intelligence into search. First, let's talk about content quality. You only have a few seconds when you only have a few seconds to keep somebody on your website. So consider the following: what is the reason? What reason do you have for them to stay on your page? Is there an offer that you're presenting them? Are they actually able to find exactly what they're looking for when they land on that page? Such as, can they find your phone number, and can they find how to contact you either by a form or by an email address? All right, so what unique value are you offering to that particular visitor as well? So if you have a local business, do you have coupons as one example? Or do you have something that they can download? Or do you have a gallery for them to take a look through? What is that unique thing that you have on your website that's going to keep them coming back to your site and staying on your page? All right, so when we get into content research, we want to make sure we are creating content using the keywords and actual search terms that people use. So the content you are producing answers that particular search query. So a lot of times what we do as business owners is we put ourselves at the center of the universe and all our customers are around us. And actually what we need to do is put our customers at the center of the universe and focus on what they are searching for, so that way they can find us. And this is exactly what that content research is talking about. We want to make sure that we're using keywords that they use and using search terms that they use, because industry jargon doesn't help them because they're not aware of it. All right. Next, let's talk about the content words. This is basically how we're using our keywords within the content of our pages. We should use the keyword 2 or more times on a page, and probably not go over a keyword density amount, which is a ratio of the number of times the keyword appears to the number of words on the page. A keyword density recommended amount is around 3%. However, I do want to point out that Google has been phasing out emphasis on keyword density and really wants to focus more on content quality as opposed to keyword density. So content freshness. Search engines love new content. They love coming back to your website, finding new pages, and putting them in the index. That means they're keeping the search engines new and fresh with new content, right? So one of the ways we could do this is have a consistent blog posting schedule. We can, if we're going to take a blog post, blog once a month, once a week, twice a week, whatever it may be, every single day, every hour, whatever the case may be. If we need to have a consistent blog posting schedule. Okay, and what is involved with a consistent blog posting schedule is usually we have to sit down and have a planning meeting, figure out what are we going to write, when we're going to write it, when is it appropriate for us to publish that post. All right. Another example of content freshness might be adding a new services page. So we're introducing a new product, a new service, an event, something that's new that's happening that we want to add another page to our website for. We can have that and let Google take and index that and hopefully appear in the search results. There's also another little factor to consider with content freshness, which addresses a challenge with what is popular and what is not so popular on the web. And when we say popular terms, we're talking about like current events, right? So there's an algorithm that Google has called Query Deserves Freshness, or QDF. And so, for example, like if there's a news event that's happening around the world, I'll give you the best example I can think of at this moment. But if you remember back to the Olympics, and when Michael Phelps was doing all of his competitions, you notice that he had all these giant circles on his back, and that was called cupping, right? We learned about cupping at the Olympics, and this is Chinese technique that was used to help reduce pain, to detoxify the body. Well, we actually had a conversation with a business that runs a local spa, and they actually took an opportunity to get into the traffic that was happening by all these searches that were all of a sudden happening about cupping, and they wrote a blog post about cupping and what it was and how they offered it as a service, and they were actually able to pick up new business because of it. That's because something in the media was happening that was very popular that wasn't normal anymore. Okay, so there's an interesting strategy for content freshness, and that's why paying attention to the news and paying attention to what's happening in social media, if it comes up and is relevant to your business, it's an opportunity to jump on something and pull in that traffic to your website. All right, vertical searches are going to be anything that's basically news, images, local listings, or video that shows up in a special section of the search engine results page. An example of this could be like a map pack. So if you're searching for coin dealers in Raleigh, you're going to actually get a little map pack that shows up 3 businesses that are probably near you based on your geolocation. That's a vertical search. Another example is if I did a search for monkeys, I could, chances are on the sidebar on the right, you're going to see a box that describes monkeys and all the different species of monkeys. And with images and all this other great insight that Google is aggregating from the knowledge graph that they're putting together. But basically for your business, my recommendation would be to focus on making sure you're appearing at the top of the map pack because there's only 3 results that show up in there, and we can help you out with that. Next is going to be direct answers. Direct answers are going to be when someone does a search for like, why is the sky blue? Right? But this is something to think about. When a visitor, does it get the visitor to visit the source of the answer, or do they move on to the next search? Right? So if I did a search for why is the sky blue, and I have this great blog post about why the sky is blue, but Google takes a bit of that information from my blog post and just puts it into the search page, is somebody actually going to click through that to read the rest of the article and visit my website, or are they going to get their answer right there and then move on to the next search? Right? So if somebody did a search for car dealers near me, then, or where's the nearest car dealer, or where's the nearest restaurant or something along those lines, then Google's going to provide the answer, but are they actually going to be driving that traffic back out to your website? And that's something to consider. And unfortunately, it's one of those user experience things that what we want to make sure that we're doing is if that answer appears in Google and someone does take action from it, they're actually going to give a little bit of signal to your website saying that, hey, this is an actual legitimate result, and this is a good thing, and your website wins over your competition. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the basics of off-page SEO. All right, so off-page SEO is really going to focus on everything that is not on your website. All right, so it's going to be like your Google My Business local listings or your map listings, Yext as well, Moz local, directory websites, and citations. And we'll actually talk about some of these. Google My Business, which you can find at google.com/business, integrates, basically is the integration of Google Business Listings, Google Plus, and Google Maps. This is where your business can actually control most of its appearance within Google's ecosystem. And it helps actually give you the opportunity to give the customers the right info about your business as well as engage with consumers. All right, so a couple key things we want to talk about with Google My Business. One, it helps you be found. It helps you show up on the web, helps you get on Google Maps, helps you stand out on Google Plus as well. And I know that one of the things that we hear about all the time is, well, Google Maps, there's no one there. I'm sorry, Google Plus, there's no one there. It's dead. It's a ghost town. Believe it or not, there's a lot of active users out still using Google Plus, and it's just part of the ecosystem. It's just become part of the experience when it comes to Google. Google My Business also helps you share the right information about your business. So if you've moved, if you've updated a phone number, if your hours have changed, or anything like that, chances are people are going to be searching and they're going to find it there first. So it's important to maintain that information. Also, it allows you to be found across different devices. Today, we use more than just a desktop computer or a laptop or a tablet. I mean, we use mobile devices all the time. And these mobile devices are incredible. Sometimes they're more powerful than the desktop computers we used just a couple of years ago, right? So these, so we want to make sure that that web experience that people are getting on a desktop or a laptop, they're going to be able to get access to that same information when they get out to a mobile device too. All right. Google My Business also helps you with connecting with customers by helping you with sharing updates and sharing photos and respond to feedback like reviews, which is important. All right, so Yext and Moz Local kind of fall under a similar category where they both publish business info to a number of different websites. Yext usually focuses on publishing information to Bing, MapQuest, Yahoo, Yelp, and 60 other directory services. Moz Local focuses on another different set of business info websites, usually a little bit more niche type websites. But both of Yext and Moz Local have an annual fee or a monthly fee in order to use their service. And one of the things we kind of don't like about these services is that once you cancel your subscription, they happen to cancel the links. So it's one of those ongoing things you have to maintain as kind of the cost of doing business today and being found on the web. All right, citations. No, they're not traffic tickets. And no, they're not a funky car from the 80s made by Chevy. So citations are going to be basically are defined as mentions of your website and address on other web pages, even if there is no link to your website. Okay. An example of a citation might be like a online Yellow Pages directory where your business is listed but is not linked to. Citations can also be found on local Chamber of Commerce web pages or on local business associations that include your business information, but they're not providing a link back to your website. Google actually has an algorithm that will pick up and detect this and actually basically provide your website with a little bit more authority, a little bit more Google juice to make the connection between the Chamber website and your website. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the basics of technical SEO. Basically, technical SEO is going to be work that is done aside of the content. It is the foundation that gives your content the best chance it can have to rank with relevant keywords and phrases. All right, so one of the factors that we look at with technical SEO is going to be page speed. How long does it take to load the first byte of your website, and how long does it take in total to load the entire page? Research shows that Google leans toward time to first byte, which basically what they're looking at is the server response time. How long does it take for the information to get sent and then received when loading the page in the browser? Page speed is not the same as site speed. If your page speed is slow, there's a chance that it will be crawled less often by Google or other search engines. So you can have one page that's super fast and another page is loaded down with a whole bunch of images, and that could really slow down your web page, right? So that can actually potentially impact how often that page is recrawled and indexed by the search engine. All right, another factor in technical SEO that we need to look at is whether or not your website is mobile friendly. More and more traffic going out to coming in to your website is going to be mobile friendly. All right, some things that we really need to consider is the fact that page speed is probably one of the most important things that comes to having a mobile friendly website, as well as it being responsive. We'll talk about that in just a moment. We also want to make sure that we're not blocking resources like CSS files with JavaScript or images from appearing on a mobile browser. A lot of things when it comes to going back to page speed for a moment, we want to also consider the fact that not everywhere across the country or around the world, for that matter, they don't have 4G everywhere, or 4G next level or whatever it is that Verizon has just come out with. The real high-speed broadband access for wireless, but it's still very important. You have to consider the hardware of the phone as well and how fast it can take and actually render the page. So the more resources you throw at a phone, the longer it's going to take for it to finish loading the page, and that creates a bad experience for the visitor. For sites that are designed for mobile. They will not use Flash elements at all, and they will not have intrusive pop-ups, and they will be designed basically for the quote-unquote fat finger. So Flash, which was was made by Adobe. Apple a while ago basically said, Adobe Flash is killing the phones. It's a resource hog. It creates bad experiences on the phone. We're not supporting it any longer. So on the iPhone, you have not seen Flash for a very long time. However, there are still Flash websites out there. Intrusive pop-ups. Intrusive pop-ups are going to be anything like you have your invite to ask somebody to subscribe to your newsletter, or a pop-up about a promotion that's running. If it comes up and it covers a good portion of that particular page that somebody is visiting, and they can't exit out of it until they actually perform something, that's an intrusive pop-up, and actually Google will start penalizing you for those starting in January. So we want to avoid using those on mobile devices. We want to make a better experience for mobile devices. You can still use them, they just can't be intrusive. Okay, and we can help you with designing those properly. Also, for fat finger design, my phone, I have an LG V10. It's got a 5-point something inch screen just because I got big hands, and I need to make sure that when I press a button, it's the one I intended to press. If you put your buttons way too close together on a mobile device, it becomes very difficult for somebody to get to where they want to go. Okay, so this is why having space between buttons and having spacing on your website is pretty important. Okay, we also want to make sure that we're optimized for optimize our titles and meta descriptions on our page. We want to make sure that when somebody does take and clicks through a search engine result, that they do end up on the page that they want to appear on. And they're not using up their bandwidth, for example, loading up the page, and all of a sudden they learn that the page is not the one they actually meant to go to. Using schema.org structured data, we're going to talk about that in just a little bit, but this is basically when you go into Google and you do a search, say for a restaurant, and you start to see like 4 or 5-star reviews on restaurants appear inside Google search, that there's something called schema markup that is on the page, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. We also want to optimize for local search. So using keywords in our copy that keep our website searches to our local area is very important, especially for a mobile device, because most mobile devices are being tracked for the locality, right? They have all these phones have GPSs inside of them right now. Google is using that in the Chrome browser. Apple's using it in Safari browser as well. And what we're basically doing is they're going to take and localize those search results. So it's very important for you to come up in those local search results. With regards to mobile site configuration, these are just a few recommendations. The most important recommendation here is that you have responsive web design. Basically, this allows you to have a single website that resizes itself appropriately for the device. It actually allows it to kind of rearrange content on your website and elements of your website, so that way it appears slightly differently on your mobile device than it does on a desktop device. There's also another feature called dynamic serving, which actually will feed out content based on the device and based on the device that is rendering the image. And you can also have a separate mobile URL. This was one of the early ways you can take and kind of configure your website, is create a second website with a separate mobile URL. And if your device, if a mobile device requested your website, you would redirect them to that. We don't normally do that anymore. Actually, responsive design addressed that issue because it allows us to focus all of our resources into one website rather than trying to maintain 2. 404 errors. The illustrious 404 error. We want to make sure that we are, someone has clicked on a search result and they find the page. So a 404 error is a server response error, a web server response error that lets the visitor know that the page cannot be found. SEOs work to identify these pages and redirect those requests to a new page. Okay, so if you put up a page and all of a sudden a year later you took it down, or maybe you migrated your website over to a totally new web host and you rebuilt it from scratch, but Google has continued to index your old website and they haven't updated all your links yet, well, chances are somebody's going to get a 404 error. And we actually work to fix those. And we fix those actually with 301 and 302 redirects. Sometimes pages move or they're removed from the site, but they're still listed in the search engine. SEOs will use Google Web Search Console to identify these pages and set up redirects to direct traffic to the right location. A 301 redirect tells the search engine that the page has permanently been moved to a new location. This is used to correct, sometimes used to correct duplicate content issues. All right, and then what Google will end up doing, or the search engine will end up doing, is updating its index, saying, oh, okay, this page is gone and it's been replaced with this one. We're going to update it with this one, with a new page. A 302 redirect basically tells the website that the page has temporarily been moved to a new location. Sometimes we put these up, for example, when we have a maintenance page that appears on a website saying we've temporarily put up this page, but come back and check us later. Or if we've moved a page to another URL temporarily to redesign another URL, sometimes that happens. We don't use them as often as we do 302 redirects. I'm sorry, 301 redirects, but 302 is there in case you just need to temporarily move a page. All right, duplicate content. A big problem sometimes if you don't have your website structured correctly. We use what's called canonical URLs. A canonical link element basically is an HTML element that helps webmasters prevent duplicate content issues by specifying the canonical or preferred version of a web page as part of search engine optimizations. So an example of this would be, if you take a look on the screen, it'll say example.com/page.html. Search engines would actually consider example.com/page.html $parameter = 1 as to be a duplicate page or a different page, but it would have the exact same content. Okay, so there's an element that we could put into the page to say that, hey, this is actually the preferred page, so please don't index this one twice. All right, so SEF URLs. We have search engine, SEF stands for search engine friendly. Gotta love these acronyms. Okay, so basically we want to use text to describe the URL. So it makes it helpful for search engines to index your site, as well as it makes it a little bit easier for sharing a link with somebody else. In WordPress, we actually call these permalinks. Okay, and we can actually define what the permalinks are for our URLs. Next is we want to consider using SSL and HTTPS. SSL is a secure socket layer. HTTPS is Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. If you've ever shopped online, you have been to a website, hopefully. If you've ever entered a transaction, hopefully this is something you look for, but making sure that your website has HTTPS, because that actually secures the website and the information is transmitted between the user and your website. So it authenticates the visited website and it protects the privacy and integrity of the data exchange. Google will provide additional, or will give additional authority to websites that have implemented SSL and HTTPS on their websites, but they will not penalize those sites that do not. Okay, so those are very helpful. Going back to SSL and HTTPS, if you have a website that is hosted with us at DDesign, please make sure you request this service. It is not too expensive. There is a cost to having an SSL certificate, but it is definitely worth getting the extra boost from Google in the search results as well. It gives you a little competitive edge, because chances are your competitors probably aren't thinking about that. All right, meta tags. Meta tags are descriptions that basically, they're not important to search engine rankings, but they're really important to gaining user click-through on search engine result pages or SERPs. An example of a description would be a meta tag which is contained in the head section of the markup of the page. We call this particular description meta tag is meta name equals description and content equals. This is an example of a meta description. This will often show up in search results. So if you ever wonder, like, where's that text that shows up just below the page name, where's that text coming from on the Google search results, then this is actually coming from this particular meta tag. All right. So here's another example of a meta tag. This is a verification example. With Google, we actually will verify. We want to verify ownership of your website with Google. So we have a verify meta tag. This is one example. The other one would be a robot behavior instruction example. So we can actually tell Google to not index a particular page by putting a meta tag in place. All right, then we also have Schema.org. And Schema.org is actually an initiative from Google, Bing, and Yahoo, which was established to create a common vocabulary for structured data markup on web pages. This basically improves how your website appears in most major search engines, and the markup actually helps create richer search experiences. So 2 examples of this would be, these come directly from Google, but The Wire. And you can see that in the IMDb ratings, you see the star ratings as well as the ratings and the number of votes. That metadata is actually coming from the page itself based on the structure set forth by Schema. And then just below that, you can see another example from ticketsnow.com on NC State football's schedule coming up. So the 29th, November 5th, and the 19th, that's what's going on. So you can actually go out and buy tickets by clicking on the specific competitor. All right, so finally, so here's some page optimization tips that you should consider. Leverage SEO-friendly permalinks, those the search engine-friendly URLs. Make sure that you start with a keyword in the title. Use multimedia content on your site. Make sure you're also doing outbound links, so linking to other websites that are contextually relevant to yours. Make sure you have keywords within your keyword within the first 100 words. Wrap your page title within an H1 tag. Optimize the page speed for your website, so make sure it is loading quickly. Add modifiers to your web pages like best or 2016 and review to your page title. I would also recommend using social sharing buttons for your blog post pages, and also post longer content. Usually around 1,500 words is pretty good on a blog post. There's others that are going to be a little bit less, maybe it could be anywhere from 300 to 600 words. But Google likes good quality content. Usually, good quality content means a lot of words. So that's just it's a tip. It's a suggestion. Hopefully. Sometimes it's a little hard for us to take and write, or hard for anyone to write 1,500 words. But if you know your business, you can put 1,500 words on paper too. So, all right, that comes to the conclusion of our basics webinar. But I would like to open it up for some Q&A. So there's a chat window or a chat option up in the Join Me toolbar there. And if you want to click on that, and if you have any questions, please by all means go ahead. All right. Well, hopefully I didn't put everybody. Oh, here we go. We got a question. Let's see. So we have a question from viewer 6. Are there any penalties for posting a lot of blogs at one time? Not normally. Not normally. As long as your content is relevant. I mean, there are a number of different websites that are out there that post hourly content to the site. So if you're a news production website, then obviously, I mean, that's going to be, it's going to be expected. You're going to be posting on a regular basis. But if you're writing a bunch of content, I know that sometimes we feel the urge to take and publish our stuff immediately, but sometimes it's better for us to take and there are some writers out there that they write everything at the beginning of the month and they schedule it out throughout the rest of the month, showing consistency to Google, so that way their crawlers can come back on a regular basis. So I wouldn't say there's a penalty for posting a lot of blog posts at the same time, but I would say that there's a better strategy than posting it all at the same time. Hopefully that helps. All right. So Danny asked a good question. What SEO software do you recommend specifically for WordPress websites? Okay. So all of our customers, when they have a website that is designed by us, and I also use this personally on my website, it's a plugin called Yoast or Yoast. It's spelled Y-O-A-S-T, SEO. You can also use another one which is made locally called All-in-One SEO. Simplify Web Design is a plugin development company based here. They also have a pretty cool plugin. They kind of fit slightly different needs, and they address some different issues. They have a couple things that don't overlap. But I have a tendency to go more towards Yoast SEO plugin. But I would recommend picking one and just kind of sticking with it. I would not run more than one plugin for SEO on your website. All right, so we have another question here. So if I'm starting from scratch with SEO and don't have the time for everything up front, what would be the top 3 things that I should do? Biggest bang. All right. So probably the first thing I would do is that I would make sure that I'm set up with a good framework of a website. We like WordPress. I use WordPress personally. We develop a lot of WordPress websites, so making sure that your website is set up correctly and you have a good web host. I think that's the main thing. Making sure that your theme is properly optimized for SEO. So some developers, they're well known for taking in and producing WordPress themes that are SEO friendly. Okay, so they're going to properly tag a heading with an H1 tag, and the next one with an H2, and a number of these others as well. And then the next thing I would say is just having a consistent schedule of publishing fresh content out to your website. That would be the next thing. And then also, if you want, make sure you're doing keyword research and making sure you're using the right keyword terms in that content that you're writing. Yes, I would say viewer 6, yes. Fresh content and blogs do make a big difference because it does get Google to come back and re-index your website and see if there's any other changes. Yep. All right, so if you, we're going to go ahead and right now we've hit 2 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead. If you have any other questions, you're more than welcome to send us an email. Send it to us at marketing@DDesign.com. We'd be very happy to answer the questions that you may have. And then just real quick, I also want to mention that we have a upcoming webinar on Thursday, October 20th at 1 p.m., same bat time, same bat channel. Actually, different channel. You can get the link from there. But we sent out an email at the beginning of last week that contained that link there. But if you need help finding it, we'll actually take and just go out to thedesign.com, click on Contact, and in the menu bar that appears on the Contact page, you can find a link to register for our WordPress Admin Fundamentals webinar on the 20th, and that will actually be conducted by Tevin Alexander, who is one of our project managers here at DDesign. Once again, thank you very much for everybody for coming to the webinar. This webinar was recorded, so I'll be sending out a link to that within the next day or so. And if you have any further questions, please definitely ask us. Thank you very much.